to say thank you. This congregation has done a great job of welcoming me into your church family and supporting me as I'm in my call to ministry. And thank you for sharing your knowledge, your gifts, and your talents with me. And thanks for allowing me to get up here today and talk to you. Right before Jesus went up to the mountain to pray, he had just finished feeding over 5,000 people. You may remember that Mackey tells us that a large crowd came to hear Jesus, and when the time came to feed them, all that was left were 5 loaves and 2 fish. The loaves were multiplied, and everyone was fed. Now Jesus at this point needed some alone time, so he dismissed his disciples and the crowds and headed to the mountain to find peace with God. Mackey was writing primarily to a Jewish audience, and one of his main goals was to convince them that Jesus was the Messiah. By explaining that Jesus was going to the mountain to pray, he was drawing a connection between Jesus and Moses, who also spent time with God on the mountain. This is the first time in the Gospel of Matthew, however, that Jesus is shown praying. And it is also the first time that the disciples were sent off without the human presence of Christ. Now, the disciples have been with Jesus for a while now. They had witnessed countless healings and had heard Jesus' teachings day in and day out. So it makes me wonder, why, in the middle of a severe thunderstorm at 3 o'clock in the morning, some random guys walking on the water towards them, their first thought wouldn't have been, oh hey, that must be Jesus. Instead, they cower in fear and think it's a ghost. Really? You've been traveling this long with the Messiah, and you wouldn't even think about the fact that the guy coming to rescue you is the same guy you've been hanging out with? Now, maybe you could blame it on the fact that it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was dark, and they were scared. Or maybe Matthew was trying to make a point. The disciples had been living with Jesus for so long that they don't recognize him when he shows up. And the disciples, like us, have doubts and fears, and they can't see what lies ahead of them in the stormy seas of life. They have to learn to trust that Jesus is always with them, no matter if he is there in person or not. I run a summer day camp. We go swimming 3 times a week. Now, every Monday, we offer a swim test. Everyone starts out with an orange wristband, which signifies that they can only go in the shallow end of the pool. Now, if they pass the test, they can go off the diving board and into the deep end. And if they don't, they keep their orange wristband on and stay in the shallow water. Now, in order to pass, they have to be able to swim one length of the pool without touching the sides or the bottom. A staff member's in the water with the kid in case they have any trouble. Now, a few summers ago, I had a little boy named Jacob, wasn't the strongest swimmer, and he hadn't passed in previous weeks. So I was pretty skeptical when he ran up to me saying, Miss Amanda, I want to take the swim test again. But Jacob was persistent. I've been practicing. All right. He jumps in the water and immediately clings to the wall for dear life. I thought of Jacob when I read this story. Peter, in the midst of a storm, calls out to Jesus and asks to walk on the water. Jesus replies, okay, sure. He doesn't say, well, Peter, did you pass the swim test? You probably should put some floaties on before you get out here, you might think. No, this is not what Jesus says. Rather, he looks at Peter and says, come. Now, Peter's taking a huge risk here, stepping out of the boat in a thunderstorm, no less. He's going into unknown territory. There's no rope to cling to, no wall to guide his way. The only thing that is in front of him is Jesus. He can barely see amongst the crashing waves and winds, but he steps out the boat anyways and begins to walk towards Jesus. Peter is a risk taker. He leaves the comfort of a safe, secure boat to risk everything to meet the Lord. Now, the word risk can have such a scary connotation to it. To risk something is to take a chance, which can lead to losing something in return. But I would like to propose that we put a positive spin on the word risk. Let's say that Peter was pursuing a possibility. After all, Matthew says in chapter 19, verse 26, that Jesus says, for mortals it is impossible, but for God all things are possible. Was it impossible for Peter to walk on the water? Would Jesus really ask him to complete a task that he would ultimately fail at? When Peter noticed the wind, he became frightened and began to sink. why did Peter sink? Was it due to lack of faith? Did Jesus set him up to fail? I think it was due to the fact that Peter lost focus. He stopped fixing his eyes on Jesus to focus on the wind. And the minute he took his eyes away from the Lord, the doubt, fear, and anxiety began to creep in his mind, and he began to sink. Now, the unknown is a terrifying, frightening place to be. Just like the disciples in the boat who cried out to Jesus in fear and trembling, we too can find that the unknown is isolating, crippling, and lonely. We know what it's like to wait for answers, to wait for the test results, the doctor's reports, the acceptance letters, the recognition we deserve, and for people to change. And we wait, and we cry, and we scream, and we cry out to God, why am I still waiting? Why can't I see a few more steps ahead in the future? Why can't you give me the answers I so desperately need? The storm of life crashes down on us so hard that we can feel like we are drowning in a sea of despair. And all we have is this dumb boat that we're clinging to, because in the boat, we are protected a little from the storm. I mean, it's not a super fun place to be, but it's relatively dry and safe. But the problem with the boat isn't going anywhere quickly. It's getting pretty lonely out here. It's also housing a lot of negativity, lots of doubt, anxiety. Really, the boat is an extremely stressful place to be. But there's good news. Jesus is calling us out of the boat. And the world doesn't know what to do with this hope that we see in Christ. The boat is not a place of happiness, it's a place of unease and worry. There's no room for Jesus in the boat. So we explore a new possibility, and we set our gaze forward on Christ. We slowly and carefully take a step onto that churning sea and find that we, like Peter, can walk on the water too. We just have to remember to get out of the boat. I looked at the kids, waiting for Jacob to start swimming, and I encouraged them to cheer. And so we did. We cheered, and Jacob loosened his little death grip on the wall and began to swim. He was so focused, so driven, swimming his little heart out as fast as his legs could kick. He lifted his head out of the water, gasping for air, clutching the metal ladder, looks up at me and says, "Yes, Anna. Did I pass?" Yes, Jacob, you did. And I took that orange wristband off his arm, and he walked away from me, headed for unknown territory, full of confidence. So how do we, like my buddy Jacob, stay focused on the goal? How do we keep our eyes fixed on Jesus? Well, it's the obvious. Read the Bible, attend Sunday school, go to church, join the fantastic Lenten study that's going on, show up to youth group, because here the youth director is amazing. And all of this, that's fantastic. You should do everything that I just mentioned. But when those things aren't enough, remember who holds our future. In those moments when life gets difficult, when we fear the storm that is crashing all around us, when it feels like the walls are caving in, but we are mustering all the strength we can to stay afloat, we need to trust. We need to be aware that Jesus is always present, and we need to be able to recognize him when he comes to rescue us. Sometimes we need to go up on a mountain like Jesus, away from the world, away from the noise, the chaos, everything that is keeping us in that boat, and talk to God. To say, "Hey, Jesus, I want to walk on water with you. Help me." And Jesus will not laugh. He won't tell you it is impossible, that it's only a God thing. No. He will invite us out to the water with him. And we will go. And we might be terrified and trembling, but we are going to fix our eyes on Jesus, keeping in mind that Jesus the Christ, Emmanuel, means God with us. Even when we cannot see him, we know that he is always there, reaching out his hand to help us